Live from ABC7, this is Eyewitness News at 7 p.m. on LA56.
The blurred lines verdict is in. The jury finds that Pharrell and Robin Thicke did copy a Marvin Gaye song, and it will cost them millions.
The president of the Beverly Hills School Board arrested for allegedly attacking his female neighbor over a dispute in their parking garage.
No one wants their personal emails made public.
Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton breaks her silence surrounding the controversy over her email use. Good evening, I'm David Ono.
And I'm Ruta Shabazi in for Colleen Sullivan. This is Eyewitness News on LA56, LA's only live local newscast at 7 p.m. Pharrell Williams and Robin Thicke found guilty today of stealing from a Marvin Gaye song for their hit Blurred Lines, and it will cost them. Eyewitness News reporter Robert Olguin tells us how much and how people are reacting to the verdict.
It was a #1 hit in 1977. Marvin Gaye's party anthem, Got to Give It Up.
Everybody get up.
And this was the biggest song of 2013, the smash hit Blurred Lines by Robin Thicke and Pharrell Williams. Today, a jury found that Blurred Lines copied key parts of Gaye's song and awarded the Gaye family $7.4 million in damages.
This is a beautiful day for us.
Marvin Gaye's daughter, Nona, spoke to reporters shortly after the verdict was read.
I'm so filled with emotion right now that it's hard to get the words out, but this was a miracle.
A jury of 5 women and 3 men deliberated for 2 days before returning a unanimous verdict in favor of the Gaye family. They found that Thicke and Williams infringed on Gaye's copyright, which is owned by his 3 children.
I just wanted to thank my father himself for creating such incredible music and for leaving my brothers and I his legacy.
The attorney for Williams and Thicke argued that his clients were influenced by Gaye, but that they did not copy the late soul singer.
I'm disappointed, and I'm sure my clients are disappointed by the verdict. We know in our hearts that Blurred Lines is an independent creation from the heart and soul of Pharrell Williams and no one else.
This was about the copying of melody, of harmony. It was about the copying of bass lines and keyboards.
In terms of the damages and the breakdown, Pharrell Williams was ordered to pay $1.6 million. Robin Thicke was ordered to pay $1.7 million, and the Gaye family was also awarded $4 million in general damages. Reporting from downtown LA, Robert Olguin, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Pharrell Williams was ordered to pay $1.6 million, Robin Thicke $1.7 million. The Gaye family was also rewarded $4 million in general damages. The attorney for Williams and Thicke is considering an appeal.
A threat of violence prompted UC Irvine officials to cancel tonight's meeting that was set to discuss a ban on flags in student government offices. Last week, 6 members of the student government's legislative branch voted to ban the display of any country's flags, including the U.S. flag. A higher student panel known as the Executive Cabinet vetoed the resolution on Saturday. The cabinet called the resolution misguided and said it didn't represent the views of the students on campus.
We got notice from the administration that a credible threat had been posed to the campus and that the administration had decided to cancel the meeting, and the students supported that decision.
Campus police have increased security and are asking students to report suspicious activity.
The president of the Beverly Hills School Board is under arrest, suspected of assaulting one of his neighbors. Police say it began with a dispute over his driving. Eyewitness News reporter Darsha Phillips has more on the investigation.
The Beverly Hills School Board president spent the night behind bars, arrested last night at his condominium complex in Beverly Hills after a neighbor called 911, reporting that Dr. Brian Goldberg had physically assaulted her.
She was shoved in the elevator where she struck her head on the interior of the elevator, and subsequently when the elevator door opened, he shoved her again, knocking her to the ground.
The trouble started, police say, in the underground parking garage when the 18-year-old victim accused Goldberg of driving erratically.
She was not happy about the way he was operating his vehicle. She thought it was unsafe, and she believed that he had almost struck her with his vehicle.
After confronting him, police say the victim and Goldberg began to argue, entering the complex's elevator where the alleged assault took place.
Dr. Goldberg indicated he just brushed up against her. But he did have some conflicting statements, which also helped affirm some of the officers' beliefs in what happened.
The victim requested a citizen's arrest, and Goldberg was taken into custody and cited. The school board has declined comment, but some neighbors are coming to Goldberg's defense.
I definitely think this is getting blown out of proportion. Obviously, there's two sides to every story, and so far from what I've read, everything has only been covering her side.
David Unessi says he knows Dr. Goldberg personally and believes this is just all a misunderstanding.
He cares personally for everyone that knows him. He's just a fantastic individual, and I still don't believe that it would be him.
Goldberg was released this morning and will have to appear in court next month. Eyewitness News reached out to Goldberg but have not received a response. In Beverly Hills, I'm Darsha Phillips, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Parents of children at Agoura Hills Daycare are suing, alleging abuse. According to evidence gathered by the California Department of Social Services, 2 teachers at Tutor Time Daycare used push pens to prick children as a means of discipline. 3 staff members have since been terminated, including one who knew about the alleged abuse but failed to report it. We have much more on the story coming up in a full report at 7:30.
Dramatic video from South Los Angeles. Firefighters responding to an apartment fire on 80th Street encountered a wall of flames shooting out of the second-story unit. They were able to rescue 2 children and their mother trapped inside the burning building. Neighbors next door were also able to escape the flames unharmed. Survivors say they can't believe how quickly firefighters responded, knocking down the flames in 13 minutes.
I was just so in shock because I was like, oh my gosh, they're really doing this. Like, this is happening to me.
Families from both apartment units are receiving help from the Red Cross. The fire has been ruled accidental. A Pacoima man has been arrested in connection with a fatal hit-and-run accident this morning in Malibu. Investigators say a woman got out of her car after pulling over on PCH. They say she was struck and killed by 25-year-old Pablo Carranza, who turned onto Canaan Doom Road. The victim had 2 friends in her car. They gave authorities the description of the suspect vehicle. Carranza was taken into custody a short time later.
A demonstration outside LAPD headquarters today over the fatal police shooting of a homeless man on Skid Row. Our Eyewitness News reporter Carlos Granda tells us what protesters want and where things stand in the investigation into this shooting.
We're saying we can't trust this building. We can't trust this city to police itself.
Protesters outside LAPD headquarters demanding an independent investigation into the shooting of a homeless man on Skid Row during a confrontation with police. 43-year-old Charlie Lindu Kunang from Cameroon was known on the streets as Africa. The Inspector General's office is conducting its own investigation, and officials say they found 18 eyewitnesses.
We've also obtained all the video, including the body camera video, and we've been examining that video, including the individual who was a victim of the crime and his statements about what occurred, which is captured on the video, and are attempting to slow down the video so that we can determine the sequence of events.
But community activists say that's not enough.
We demand that there be an independent prosecutor and a DOJ investigation. Skid Row residents, we have absolutely no faith in Chief Beck or in you commissioners.
There's just way too many police officers out on the streets, and it doesn't make me feel safer. It doesn't make anybody feel safer.
Some are asking for fewer officers and more of the LAPD SMART teams. Those are mental assistance response teams who help with suspected mentally ill persons.
SMART teams, however, are not first responders. They are a police officer and a clinician, and they are not prepared to respond to incidents where folks are violent.
Protesters say they want to see the video from the police body cameras. The chief says for now they're still interviewing more witnesses.
These things do take time. Sometimes people want to put a little time distance between the event and their statements.
Investigators wouldn't give a timetable regarding the investigation, but Chief Charlie Beck did say that the names of the officers could be released in the next few weeks. Reporting from downtown Los Angeles, I'm Carlos Granda, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
A strong earthquake rocks Colombia. The 6.2 magnitude quake was centered 9 miles north of Aratoca and 175 miles north of Bogota, where buildings reportedly swayed during the shaker. Video from Bogota shows workers evacuating office buildings. Despite the heavy shaking, there have been no reports of damage or injuries.
A new battle royale between Democrats and Republicans in Washington, this time over Iran. And a group of 47 GOP senators has sent an open letter directly to Iranian leaders, warning them that a possible nuclear deal will not last without congressional approval. Today, Senate Democrats said the GOP letter undercuts the U.S. at the negotiating table and could torpedo bipartisanship when it comes to the delicate issue of preventing a nuclear-armed Iran. The Republicans say they don't trust the Iranian leadership. We're hearing for the first time from Hillary Clinton about the controversy surrounding her emails when she was Secretary of State. This comes after days of silence and Democrats and Republicans pressuring her about the matter. Eyewitness News reporter Alex Michelson joins us now with more on what she had to say. Alex?
Rinabag, for the first time in about 2 years, Hillary Clinton held a news conference today. The presumptive Democratic Party frontrunner for president was combative, feisty, and defiant. Her basic message? Trust me.
I saw it as a matter of convenience, and it was allowed. Others had done it.
Hillary Clinton says when she was Secretary of State, she didn't think it would be convenient to have two email accounts, one personal and one professional.
Looking back, it would have been better for me to use two separate phones and two email accounts. I thought using one device would be simpler, and obviously it hasn't worked out that way.
Former President Bill Clinton set up a private email server for the couple at their Chappaqua home. She says it was guarded by the Secret Service and has never been hacked. Hillary Clinton has now turned over 30,000 work-related emails to the State Department and asked they be released publicly.
The release will be posted on a publicly available website.
But Hillary Clinton says she has no plans to let outside groups look at her server and has deleted many emails she deemed private.
They had nothing to do with work, but I didn't see any reason to keep them.
That's not enough for critics like Republican Congressman Darrell Issa. He tweeted out, quote, Hillary Presser requires that we merely trust that Clinton was an unbiased arbiter of her own emails. Many political analysts say this press conference will not be the end of this story.
She did not put this to rest. I think this has just actually exacerbated the process. The idea that she needed special rules for her own email, that she never really came up with a full explanation for why she did it, those confirm some of the worst suspicions people, including Democrats, have about Hillary Clinton and the Clintons more generally.
So the bottom line in all this, Hillary Clinton is now deciding which of her emails she's making public and which ones she's not. The State Department is in the process of reviewing the documents that Clinton chose to submit. Reporting live, Alex Michelson, ABC7 Eyewitness News. Alex, thank you. Up next, a terrifying scene caught on camera.
A suspected kidnapper snatches a baby from his stroller. You won't believe what happened next.
Plus, new reaction from Rome after an act of vandalism at the ancient Colosseum. What we are learning about the two California women arrested.
And big James Bond news, a casting secret just revealed. Who will be the very first Mexican Bond girl?
Beautiful day today. I've got some record-breaking heat in a 7-day forecast coming up in a few minutes.
In Washington state, 4 young people are being called heroes. A 22-month-old baby was kidnapped out of a stroller. The child's sister, brother, and 2 neighborhood boys sprung into action. It's an amazing story we hear from ABC's Shibani Joshi.
It's every parent's worst nightmare.
I can't explain the feeling, anxiety, and everything that it goes into finding out that, your child's missing.
The frightening ordeal, all caught on surveillance video at a nearby grocery store in Sprague, Washington, population 500. You see the suspect running with 22-month-old Owen Wright in his arms shortly after ripping him out of his stroller at a nearby park. Within moments, the toddler's older sister and then his brother chased the suspect with the empty stroller. Michael Wright says that he left his 3 kids with a trusted friend while at work. But then the 3 children were left unsupervised, playing in a park near the sitter's house.
You entrust somebody with your children, and you don't expect something like this to happen.
The screams of Owen's fast-thinking siblings caught the attention of Dorothy Giddings, who was working nearby. She says once she realized what was happening, she sent her grandson and his friend to chase the man.
I didn't really care. There was a kid's life in danger.
And thanks to their pursuit, the kidnapper dropped the toddler in a vacant lot and fled.
I told that little girl, I said, honey, you did exactly what you needed to do. Scream your head off. That was what saved that baby. It was her screaming and us running.
Luckily, none of the children involved in the incident were harmed, and the manhunt is still underway for that suspected kidnapper. In Los Angeles, Shibani Joshi, ABC News. Tonight, international outrage over the recent vandalism at the Colosseum in Rome. 2 California tourists, aged 21 and 25, are accused of carving their initials, J and N, into one of the ancient walls. We still don't know who these women are, but they do face serious charges. The director of the Colosseum and other tourist sites condemned the vandalism.
I think it's horrible. I mean, I can't even imagine what would go through someone's head to possess them to do that.
I was like, stupid Americans. It's something that's historic and should be kept preserved the way it is.
The women were reportedly snapping a selfie of themselves with their initials before they were arrested. They have apologized for their actions.
Pretty flabbergasting. Don't understand who wouldn't. I mean, who would do that? That's crazy. In the meantime, let's brighten it up. Talk about our weather. Well, I'm not sure if we can brighten it up.
It's about as bright as it can get.
And the heat is coming big time.
Yeah, along with that bright sunshine that we're going to have as we head into the weekend, record-breaking heat. Yeah, if you can believe 90s in wintertime, start believing it if you can't, because we're going to have that in the forecast for you in just a moment. But we're going to get through a little bit of a chance of rain and some snow over to the East Coast that we're going to look at. Look at this. This is in the East Coast, folks, where the snow is actually allowing for icebergs to wash ashore. This is Cape Cod, some of the big chunks of ice, 10 feet thick, 20 to 30 feet across. They've had a ton of snow, cold, ice this winter. This only happens once in a generation. The New England weather is finally warming up, though, after what has been an extremely record-breaking cold winter for them. And for us, as a result of the flip side of things, man, it's been just fantastically warm. Temperatures today, well, we were in the lower 80s in some spots, 83 Burbank, it was 80 in downtown. Tomorrow we're going to cool it down a little bit because we got some cooler air moving in, and that's what you're seeing here on the left side of your screen off to the west of us is a cold front, and resulting from that, some shower activity. Will that make it here to Southern California? Maybe. Slight chance of that for the overnight time into tomorrow. Otherwise, we're going to keep it dry, some clouds from that front, and some slightly cooler weather, but we're still above average through the whole forecast, and we're looking at stuff like this tomorrow, some clouds as they've moved in through Malibu. A beautiful time-lapse there as the sun was heading down. Our highs, 89 in Riverside. I told you 83 in Burbank and Santa Ana. And then 60s, Redondo Beach and Big Bear was 61. Just fantastic. It was amazing today. Tomorrow's going to be another good one. 67 in downtown right now. It's your current temperature. And look at the numbers at the moment. This is your current temperature right here. 73 in Van Nuys, 75 in Ontario and Burbank, and 83 in Palm Springs. Yes, it is still winter. We're still in March. So, I mean, this is unbelievable weather right now. As you look off to the east of us, you have high pressure that is kind of budging as a cold front, which is very easy to make out right here. This is an area low pressure, and from it extending right here, this is a cold front that's moving through most of the state to the north of us. Going to see some shower activity. For us, it just doesn't have enough punch this far south to really create any shower activity as that whole system starts lifting really here to the northeast over the next day. So for us, we're looking at a day of more clouds, some slightly cooler weather, like I mentioned, and maybe a sprinkle, and then we start looking to the following. Watch what happens on Thursday. I'm going to bring you through Thursday and Friday. See that right there? The atmosphere arcs up. That's a ridge of high pressure. That's going to be a big change in the forecast Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Temperatures into the 90s in some spots, breaking records easily heading into the weekend with that high pressure dominating our forecast. So for tomorrow, at least, 70s. So today was about 80 or so. Tomorrow, 73. We're dropping things off just a bit. Still above average, though. Upper 70s in the IE. 69 at the coast around Huntington Beach and Dana Point. And your 7-day forecast for LA Metro and Orange County, powered up by AccuWeather. We got a slim risk of a couple of showers, some light sprinkles up there in the northern portions of our area, mainly for tomorrow. And then 79, breezy on Thursday and Friday. The Santa Ana winds kicking up about 30 to 35. Look at that on Saturday and Sunday. 91. Wow. I mean, just unbelievable. 91, 92 for the valleys, IE, respectively, for Saturday, Sunday. Before then, we've got a couple of days in the 80s on Thursday, Friday. A very warm forecast. Even for the beach here, we're looking for 81 on Friday, lower to mid-80s on the Saturday and Sunday time frame. And the mountains are getting into the 60s by this weekend. Maybe a couple of showers tomorrow. That's the best I can do as far as cooling things off to where they should be. Otherwise, it's just a very unseasonably warm forecast for you as well in the high desert. 74 on Thursday, 77 on Friday, into the 80s by this weekend. Well, more weather coming up in a few minutes. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Jonathan. The official 007 website is announcing the first ever Mexican Bond girl. Actress Stephanie Sigmund will co-star in the upcoming movie Spectre. She'll play a character named Estrella opposite Daniel Craig as James Bond. The film will also feature the oldest Bond girl ever, but 50-year-old Monica Bellucci says she prefers the term Bond woman. Filming on the 24th Bond adventure is already underway. Last week, they closed streets in Rome for a chase scene with Bond's Aston Martin.
Up next, the U.S. ambassador to South Korea speaks out about the knife attack that could have cost him his life.
Plus, helicopters collide during a reality show taping, killing 10 people, including French Olympians and a sailing pioneer. It was all caught on camera. And this.
Had them warm up and get a little worm on you, but nothing blow up, that's for sure.
A terrifying experience when a man says his e-cigarette exploded moments after he removed it from his mouth.
Now, okay, good. Yeah, it has like a 9. I have it like almost all the way. I have it up to 6, rather.
Dramatic new video of two helicopters colliding while filming a reality TV show in a remote area of Argentina. The video shows the two choppers flying close to each other, then they collide and crash to the ground. All 10 people on board were killed. The victims include 3 French sports stars. They were involved in a reality TV show that takes celebrities to remote places to test their physical and mental abilities. French prosecutors have launched a manslaughter probe into the crash.
U.S. Ambassador Mark Lippert has been released from a South Korean hospital nearly a week after being attacked by a knife-wielding man.
I've got a little rehab left to do on the arm. The face feels really good, but thanks to the great medical professionals, I feel, like I said, pretty darn good.
Lippert told reporters he expects to return to work very soon and eventually make a full recovery. Last Thursday, he was slashed in the face and left arm by an anti-U.S. activist during a breakfast forum. Lippert says the attack won't change his open and friendly approach to diplomacy.
We are updating the evening's top stories next at 7:30, including the search for a missing woman, her disappearance sending shockwaves at nearby Cal State San Bernardino, where 2 students were recently attacked.
Plus, a local daycare being sued for alleged negligence and abuse. Parents claiming 2 teachers used push pins to discipline their children. All next tonight with the news at 7:30 on LA56.
Live from ABC7, this is Eyewitness News at 7:30 p.m. on LA56.
Our top story at 7:30, a jury today awarded Marvin Gaye's children nearly $7.4 million after determining singers Robin Thicke and Pharrell Williams copied their father's music to create the song Blurred Lines. I'm Rutabe Shabazi in for Colleen Sullivan.
I'm David Ona. This is Eyewitness News on LA56, LA's only live local newscast at 7 p.m. In court, Pharrell said his song did have the feel of Got to Give It Up, but that a feel did not equal infringement. The Gaye's lawyer called Williams and Thicke liars who went beyond trying to emulate Gaye's sound. Blurred Lines was the biggest hit song of 2013, spending 10 weeks at the #1 and selling 4.6 million tracks.
The president of the Beverly Hills School Board is under arrest, accused of assaulting one of his neighbors. Dr. Brian Goldberg was arrested after the 18-year-old woman called 911. She claimed Goldberg had shoved her in the elevator and that she hit her head on the ground. Police say it all started in the building's underground parking garage when the woman accused Goldberg of driving erratically. The school board has declined to comment about the arrest.
Tonight, an all-out search for a missing 22-year-old woman. She lives near the Cal State San Bernardino campus, where they've had 2 recent attacks against women. And Eyewitness News Inland Empire reporter Leticia Waters spoke to the young woman's parents and has the latest from investigators.
It's been more than 24 hours since Saray Barber was reported missing. Concern growing after police discovered her laptop and cell phone in some bushes near her apartment. Today, her parents are making an emotional plea for information that will help find their daughter.
Saray, we love you. Can't wait to have you back to our arms.
Barbara was last seen on her way to work Monday morning. When she didn't show up or return home, her roommates called police.
We've already used a number of resources, including bloodhounds, helicopters, everything else that have really scoured the area. Plus, we put officers out on foot.
That includes the Cal State San Bernardino campus. Barbara lives in the apartments across the street. Her disappearance comes just one day after a student there reported being attacked, making it the second attack in less than a week.
So with so many things happening, it's kind of, okay, so now what's going on? You know, and now it makes you think, too, that no place is really safe.
Police are not connecting the missing persons case to the attacks on campus. Even so, the university issuing another alert, warning students to be cautious.
They're really scared. They're terrified, actually. Like, I have a couple friends who asked me to walk them from into class.
The 22-year-old is a graphic design student at the Art Institute in San Bernardino. Her parents say she is supposed to receive an award for her work this week.
She's actually just very talented in general. She's a wonderful person. People love to be around her.
The San Bernardino police are asking anyone with any information into this investigation to contact them at 909-384-5742. They are also asking any homeowners in the area that have surveillance video to contact the police. Reporting in San Bernardino, Leticia Waters, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
A terrifying experience when a man says his e-cigarette exploded moments after he removed it from his mouth.
I was freaking out. I just had an electronic cigarette blow up in my hand.
Are you burned or what happened?
I'm burned pretty bad. I'm freaking out.
Are you having any trouble with your breathing?
I think I'm having a little bit of anxiety. This thing like blew up in my face and it shot and stuck in my ceiling.
This 29-year-old says he was smoking an E-mode cigarette early yesterday morning. He says it started to hum and then it exploded. This photo shows half of the e-cig stuck at the ceiling. The fire department says the other pieces started a small fire on his bed and dresser.
That thing would have killed me for sure. That thing was lodged an inch in the wall, 10 feet away from me.
He escaped with a few minor burns on his hands and face and a cut on his hand. E-cigarette manufacturers say that they have seen very few of these incidents. They also say they warn users to be very careful when using E-modes, especially when switching out batteries.
A suspect goes on a brazen carjacking spree in Orange County. Now authorities are working to track down the knife-wielding woman responsible. Eyewitness News Orange County Bureau Chief Eileen Frere has the disturbing details and who police are looking for.
Early evening outside this Teston car wash, a woman fights off another woman who is trying to take her truck keys. The victim's 911 call.
And then she just like pulled me out of my truck, hit me in the head, put me on the ground.
The victim says the suspect got angry when she refused to give her a ride.
We heard a lot of commotion going on, some screaming.
Julio Yepes was working nearby. He went to help the victim.
I see some person with a hoodie on, you know, just kind of on top of another white lady.
Within seconds, the suspect took off. The victim suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Police believe the same woman may be responsible for at least 3 other carjackings or attempted carjackings. The first one before 6 o'clock last night in Irvine. Police say after she failed to carjack a woman as she sat in her car in this parking lot, she then threatened a man with a knife. He handed over his car. Police say that the suspect dumped the Irvine victim's car here. She then approached a 27-year-old driver as he waited here in traffic. Using a knife, she broke the driver's side window, then threatened him with that knife. He gave up his Prius. Police say the suspect then drove from Costa Mesa to Tustin, where she failed to carjack the woman outside the car wash.
She did flee on foot, and we don't have any information where she went.
The suspect described as a female Hispanic in her 20s, 5'2", 130 pounds. She was wearing a navy blue hooded sweatshirt and jeans. If you have any information, call Tustin Police at 714-573-3250. In Tustin, Eileen Frere, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
The NTSB has released a summary of the small plane crash that injured Harrison Ford last week near the Santa Monica airport. The report doesn't pinpoint the cause of the engine failure that forced Ford to turn back to the airport in his World War II-era light plane Thursday. He hit the ground just 800 feet away from a runway on a golf course in Venice. The 72-year-old suffered non-life-threatening injuries and continues to improve.
Parents of children at an Agoura Hills daycare are suing, alleging systematic abuse by 2 of the teachers involving pushpins. Eyewitness News reporter Miriam Hernandez has details on the allegations.
What happened at this tutor time in Agoura Hills was just shocking. Their teachers, when they didn't like what they were doing, would pick up a pushpin and they would call it pika pika, saying, "You're going to get pika pika," and they would poke them in the legs with the pushpins.
Pika Pika is prick prick, according to evidence gathered by the California Department of Social Services. 2 teachers at Tutor Time Daycare used it as a means of discipline on 2-year-old boys. Their parents are now suing.
The pushpin was pressed through the clothes into the skin.
And this parent says the school never mentioned a word of it to him, so now...
Oh no, definitely pulling him out. And I'm pulling him out not because basically they should have told us that this was going on. So that's a huge breach of trust.
Tutor Time is a nationwide chain. The corporation has now taken it over from the franchisee who was operating this branch at the time of the incidents. Today it says, quote, "We train our employees regularly and emphasize the use of our positive guidance policy for behavior management," unquote. A former worker who did not want to be identified tells us there were 24 2-year-olds packed in a classroom. She says she, as well as other workers, never witnessed the practice. But what about surveillance?
Tutor Time has cameras in every classroom, and that's one of the things they sold the parents on. We are watching our teachers. We are watching your kids.
The State Department of Social Services conducted an unannounced visit last May and found a preponderance of evidence that violations had occurred. 3 staff were terminated, including one who knew about the abuse but failed to report it. Miriam Hernandez, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Well, there is new fallout today from videos showing frat members engaging in a racial chant. The University of Oklahoma expelled 2 members of Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity. The university president says the investigation is ongoing and that all students identified as taking part could also face discipline or expulsion. The fraternity's national chapter, which includes 15,000 members, denies any connection to the offensive lyrics.
Troubling new information about the LADWP's new billing system. A newly released state audit found the system could end up costing taxpayers more than $200 million. According to the report, as of November 2014, the utility company was still trying to collect more than $681 million in past due bills. LADWP says some of that past due amount was due before the new billing system and that they're working with customers on payment plans. Auditors found that after the system's launch in 2013, the LADWP frequently modified its collection efforts by limiting call volume and wait times. They say that led to an increase in the number of past due accounts and in customer debt associated with those accounts.
Up next, explosive new video. It shows the moment an Amtrak train slams into a truck, and tonight New questions about a call that was never made.
Plus, people from around the world are walking through fire, literally. We'll show you why.
You know, today was warm. I have record-breaking heat in the forecast. Plus, we're going to see about this rain and that live Mega Doppler 7000 HD if it's going to make it here to Southern California. Stick around.
Tonight, terrifying images out of North Carolina showing the moment a passenger train collided with a truck, but now there are new questions over a call that was never made. Would it have made a difference? Here's ABC's David Curley.
From one side of the crossing, the crash, and the horror as seen from the other side.
Oh my God!
More than 60 hurt, only one still hospitalized. Tonight, the two derailed Amtrak cars and the engine removed. The tracks reopened. And a happy reunion. A dad hugs his daughter who walked away unhurt. Despite this crash, the one in California involving a truck, and a New York commuter train hitting an SUV, all in just the past several weeks, there is no common denominator, just drivers who couldn't get off the rails. In fact, there are 6 incidents a day on American rail crossings, 2,000 a year. But could the train in North Carolina yesterday have been warned?
I thought, oh, those are train tracks. I hope a train doesn't come. About that time, that's when it came around the corner.
The truck carrying a long prefabricated structure was being escorted by a trooper from the State Highway Patrol, and that truck was covering the tracks for between 5 and 8 minutes.
But there is a sign here that says if you have a problem, call this number in case of an emergency.
There's no indication anyone called that toll-free number. Tonight, the State Highway Patrol says it is investigating. David Curley, ABC News, Halifax, North Carolina.
Thousands turn out for a fire-walking ceremony at a temple near Tokyo. Monks chanted, preparing the fire on the grounds of a 1,300-year-old temple. About 15,000 people turned out for the ancient purification ritual. The ceremony is designed to cleanse one's soul and mind of weakness and doubt. The festival is held every year on the second Sunday in March.
Wow. Well, it's going to be like that walking on the asphalt this weekend. Meteorologist Jonathan Novak is up next with news of a very warm weekend ahead.
Plus, in sports, free agency is officially open in the NFL. Coming up, a new team washes ashore Rivas Island.
And do you want kale with that? McDonald's is reportedly getting in on the kale craze, but not everyone is happy about it.
2, 1, go!
It's the second day of the last great race known as the Iditarod in Alaska. A field of 78 mushers began the trek yesterday from Fairbanks to Nome, a 1,049-mile race. A lack of snow led organizers to move the start of the race farther north. The route change adds about 600 miles of river ice, but eliminates a mountain range and treacherous gorge.
They're amazing animals, aren't they?
Yeah.
All right, well, very different climate here, and it's going to get even hotter. Let's check in with meteorologist Jonathan Novak.
They would not, the dogs would be like, guys, come on.
You'd have to shave them, maybe.
Yeah, they would be out of here. They'd go back. One of the few who would leave to go to Arctic type of weather. We've got really hot stuff in the forecast, folks. I'm talking about record-breaking heat, but for now, we're looking off to the west, a cold front approaching the state. Some shower activity. If you notice here, if you take Santa Barbara and you just kind of go west, north of that's where the best chances are going to be. Can't rule out a few sprinkles tomorrow. Chances only 20%. That's it for the rain chances. That's it for any chance at cooling things off in the near term. We had highs today around 80 degrees was our high in downtown. Normally we're at 70. I want to show you this. Long Beach, normally you're at 68 for a high temperature in the afternoon. It is 67 right now. Burbank, it is 75 right now. You are above average, what your normal high would be for your temperature right now at almost 8 o'clock. Temperatures elsewhere are pretty much mirroring that. 74 Temecula, lower to mid-60s at the coast. We've got 72 Ojai, good evening to you, 61 in Oxnard. The big picture is looking like this. We've got a cold front off to the west. I just mentioned that, and that's going to be making mostly rain for the central and northern part of the state as that comes through here over the next 24 hours. We can't rule out a couple of showers tomorrow during the day. Slight chance, mainly for the northern portions of our area. After the front moves through, we start looking to high pressure building in, and this is the timing of everything here as the future scan will show it playing out on Thursday. Here's that front right here, all right, Wednesday afternoon. It gets out of here and washes out. We really don't see a lot of punch from that. Thursday, we already see that high start building in, and by Friday and Saturday, we're into the 90s for high temperatures, and that high is not going anywhere for the weekend. We're looking at record-breaking temperatures all weekend, and just really dangerous type of heat going into that time frame. For tomorrow, we get a little bit of a cool down, some extra clouds around from the front. Temperatures still above average, but in the lower 70s as opposed to the lower 80s. So we'll take it. And then Thursday, Friday, we start that warm up. Look at that. 79 jumping up to 87 between Thursday and Friday. That is a big jump. And then 91 on Saturday and Sunday. It is a hot forecast this weekend. If you've got plans, if you're going to be outdoors, especially, it's that kind of weather. Obviously, keep the water around and try to stay cool as best you can. So the Valley's IE tomorrow, 74. A couple of light showers around. Those winds around that high pressure Thursday and Friday as it builds in are going to be kicking up about 30 to 35. That's a Santa Ana wind. Gets you into the 80s and then to the 90s this weekend. And the beach area looking very nice tomorrow, aside from a couple of sprinkles. 73 on Thursday, 81 on Friday. Just a really warm forecast for you. And even the mountains into the 60s by Saturday. Until then, a few days in the 50s is mild weather and breezy. A couple of clouds on Wednesday and a few clouds in the high desert as well. 60s tomorrow is very mild, and then into the 80s this weekend. This weekend is going to be very hot. It's the weekend time frame, so I know everybody's going to be out doing your thing. Just got to keep in mind it's going to be hot, dangerous weather in the middle of winter. Well, not the middle of winter, but, you know, still winter.
Yeah, it is, and it is shocking. All right, Jonathan, thank you. The Lakers are back in action today as they host Detroit. The purple and gold will look to snap a 5-game losing streak at a rematch of the 2004 NBA Finals. Neither team will make the playoffs, but we will have your highlights in Eyewitness News at 11 p.m. on ABC7. Today was the first day of NFL teams could officially sign free agents, although a number of deals have already been made public. The Seahawks picked up a new target for quarterback Russell Wilson. They get Pro Bowl tight end Jimmy Graham and a 4th-round draft pick from the Saints for center Max Unger and a 1st-rounder. And just in the past couple of hours, Darrelle Revis agreed to a 5-year, $70 million deal to take Revis Island back to the New York Jets. At UCLA today, the Bruins draft-eligible players got a chance to show their skills to the NFL scouts, and that included quarterback Brett Hundley, who was hoping to redeem himself after struggling with his throwing accuracy at the NFL Scouting Combine last month in Indianapolis.
Brett threw well. He threw 60 passes, completed 57 and 60 with 1 drop. So not every throw was perfect, but, you know, I think what the scouts and the coaches appreciated was his enthusiasm.
The mindset is just to get as good as I can get. And, you know, I'm not worried about, you know, you can't be worried about where you're going to go, where you're going to get drafted, or who's doing what. You got to worry about yourself. And I think that's what it comes down to. So I'm going to try to be as good as I can for whatever team picks me, that I can go in and make an impact.
Angels coaches sunbathing while their players took on Texas today. Down 4-2 in the 8th inning, Mark Krause tees up on the offering to dead center field, showing he has the power to replace Josh Hamilton, tying the game at 4. Bottom of 9, still knotted. Lisalberto Bonilla goes wild. In comes Roger Kishnick from third and slides in safely before any throw. Who says there's not excitement in spring training? Halos win it 5-4. In Glendale, Arizona, Dodger pitcher Clayton Kershaw got his second start of the spring. The Cy Young National League MVP award winner breezed through the first 2 innings, but Nick Hundley took one of his curveballs deep for a 1-0 Rockies lead. Dodgers down 2-1 in the 8th when Dodger power hitter prospect Scott Schebler hammers a home run over the right field fence, tying the game at 2, and that's the way it ended after 9 innings.
The 2015 Special Olympics World Games got a big boost today from the LA56 Foundation. The two groups have announced what they call a partnership. The LA56 Foundation was created with surplus funds from the 1984 LA Olympics. Today, the foundation announced a $250,000 grant for the Special Olympics. The World Games will be held this summer in and around the LA area.
It was a very good experience, and the people were very nice. I enjoyed it. It's fun. Hopefully people will understand what the excitement is.
Today's gift will help cover athlete and equipment expenses as well as venue costs. They say it'll be the largest sporting event in the city since the 1984 Games.
Well, you may have noticed kale is the hot health food seemingly everywhere these days.
Yeah, but you won't find it on the menu at a big fast food chain, or will you? Eyewitness News reporter Rob Hayes tells us kale may be about to go where it has never gone before.
Being green is all the rage these days. Green cars, green energy, green light bulbs, and now even your fast food may be going green. According to a Wall Street analytics firm, McDonald's is planning to add kale to its menu sometime this year.
I like kale.
Of course she does. Everyone does. Kale is the new black. It's everywhere. Even our own Lori Corbin for years has been on the kale trail.
Cooking with kale.
Which is what Mickey D's may be doing soon. The Golden Arches will neither confirm nor deny the kale news, but if it's accurate, it would be a big about-face for the fast food giant, which earlier this year slammed the trendy vegetable in this Big Mac ad.
Nor will that ever be kale.
But these days, kale is killing it by helping you live longer.
It's, in fact, the most nutritionally dense food on the planet.
Even people on the street are coming to love the bitter-tasting veggie.
My son-in-law introduced me to it, and, it's pretty good. I mean, it's got a good taste.
My wife says it's healthy.
But is this kale trend going to last, or is it just a matter of time before another leafy green comes along and steals America's appetite?
People will probably get tired of it. They'll think of something else.
Kale? I don't even know what that means.
It means the gloves are coming off.
Dear Kale, we're sorry.
Companies like Eat24 dipping into some anti-kale sentiment. Even Time magazine has jokingly called for a kale prohibition, barking, "Kale chips, people? This is America."
Anything that's talked about too much, people are going to get sick of hearing about it, but it's good for you, and if you cook it right, it tastes good.
So the pressure is on, Kale. Will you be able to handle the fame or get eaten alive?
Super crunchy.
In Burbank, Rob Hayes, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
I like kale.
Yeah,
I have
kale's
some
delicious.
kale rice on my office right now.
We're so trendy, aren't we? More news straight ahead here at 7:30 and ahead tonight on Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7. A police officer is forced to jump into a moving car to save his own life. Plus, has evidence from the missing Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 washed ashore in Australia. The mysterious new clue. These stories and all the late-breaking news on Southern California's #1 late newscast, Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7. Thanks for joining us for LA56 News at 7:30. Law and Order SVU is next here on LA56.
And Eyewitness News continues at 11 p.m. on ABC7 and anytime on ABC7.com. And remember, you can get your news 24 hours a day by following us on Facebook and Twitter and by downloading our ABC7 app. We'll see you tomorrow at 7 o'clock right here on LA56.
Have a great night.
This is ABC7 Weather. This is ABC7 Weather.
All right, folks, a weak cold front pushing through, bringing a couple of showers, at least a chance of that through today. Most of the rain with this system is going to be up to the north of us, and once this is gone, we have some very